Yes, I'm Pritish, and I work as a software architect within Siemens, and I was mostly taking care of the monitoring applications of Siemens, mostly catering to the electrical products portfolio. We are in the era of data centers. We are talking about big industries wherein it needs power monitoring, it needs energy monitoring solutions. So when we are talking about such huge facilities, that would typically would have quite a few, the number of devices that one would be having in those setups, in those facilities will run more than thousands of devices. It could be. And then if I as a user, if I want to know a value of a particular device, wherein each device is capable of measuring so many values, and in the sea of so many devices, if I want to know a particular value, it's always a pain for me to navigate to that particular device in the application, and then find out where that particular value is there, and then looking for that particular value. It's a time consuming process which can involve huge manual effort. And to set up these kind of systems itself is a big problem. Mass configurations are needed, even though you have mass configurations that will typically involve going to a different workflow, and then again they are not very easy. They are very complex workflows what we have. For instance, let's say in the power and the energy world, let's say I want to make a particular value available for the next 2 years. I want to archive it. I want this value to be always available for the next 2 years. So across all my devices, all my, let's say, 1,000 odd devices, or let's say across devices in a particular floor, these are not easy workflows. These are typically time consuming, and again highly complex. So how can we make this better for the customer? This is another pain point that we have.
I'm sure you'll get invited to that.
And a very important topic also what we wanted to address was that we have different now the geographies. Let's say when let's say we have one product, and then which needs to now cater to various different geographies, and then different geographies follow different standards. I mean, in US typically we have products adhering to the UL standards, but in Europe the products have to adhere to the IEC standards. But what we develop is one product. So how do we make one product adhere to different standards in an easy way? So this is where we wanted to do for example an energy audit for my facility. So how can I do it but in a way that it satisfies different geographies? So these are some pain points for the customer. These are some pain points for the I mean, not just for the customer, maybe even for the product development organization. So how can we really help this? So these are the pain points that we would like to we wanted to address with the solution that we have.
Itself will be able to suggest
so now
the prompt
so what exactly when I said transformative, so how
within the family of
what exactly
LLMs,
I meant
which basically
when I said
that,
this epics can be a very transformative tool for the customers
to answer a simple query.
So here we wanted to change the way the customers interact with our applications. We wanted to bring in the intelligence. We named it as epics here, wherein epic stands for enhanced products with intelligent customer experience.
And the intelligent prompt routing will push
so how can we do
the
this?
right size models.
So through this, for example, we are talking about a zero-touch onboarding. So you have a system, you have a device in your facility, and then you want to onboard that particular device into your application, in your software. And how can we do that without really touching anything? Zero-touch onboarding is what we call. So for instance, let's say we have a device which has an identifier, a plant identifier typically, and if I just issue a simple command to the tool that's saying, if there is any device in the network which has this particular identifier, please onboard it without really touching anything. How can we really onboard this particular device?
One last bit
through
on the
some AI
AI
powered
part,
voice commands,
MLAI part.
monitoring,
You must have heard of
analyzing,
our
predicting system
investments in
level data.
silicon in
Because
our
so
Trainium chips.
all of
So
these
we announced the
are
Trainium 2 Ultra
available,
servers,
or
which
when
give
we
you
wanted to
4x
make
faster
this
speed for
solution
accelerated
completely
ML training.
uh, um,
Again,
in a
this
way
will be something
which
which
can
will become very
enhance the
relevant because
customer
training and
experience.
inferencing
It is
costs are
not
the
about a
highest
particular navigational
demands on
aspect. It is not
computing
about particular
costs in
prediction only. It
any
is
AI
not
ML
about
scenario. Think of a
maintenance of
scenario
the
where
particular
you want to
application.
do
So we wanted to
autonomous driving
enhance
and
the
smart
customer
manufacturing
experience
kind of workloads
throughout, so
using
that
AI.
he would
That
have
is
a
where this will
better
come.
experience in managing his
I'll quickly
products and his
mention next slide,
solutions.
please. I'll
So
quickly
this
go
is
to
what we
S3
really
tables.
want
You're
to
all familiar with
redefine
the S3 and
the
must be
way
using it
customer
extensively.
interacts
S3
with the
tables is
application.
basically a
and
new feature that
and we
new
wanted to have
service feature, you
a
can
very
say,
quick look
where
at the blueprint of the
this is a
solution that we have.
basically
If you look
a
at on
very
the left side
efficient
of your
way
screen,
of
we have
streamlining and
multiple
storing
software
tabular data at
suites that are
scale,
available,
and it delivers up to
focusing on
3x
planning and
fast query
engineering, focusing
performance
on
and up
commissioning
to
and parameterization,
10x
focusing on
higher transactions
monitorization,
per
monitoring
second
and
compared
analysis
to,
and
say,
prediction. So there
self-managed
are various
tables
products that we have,
stored in
which are
general
also
purpose S3 buckets. So this is very,
adhering to
very
accelerator.
significant
Siemens Accelerator
because
is
a lot
again,
of data
I can
that we
say it is the
talk
platform which
about
allows
for
interoperability of
AI, ML
Siemens
analytics
offerings.
is all
So
structured data.
all of this is
And
aligned to
so this is
accelerator.
specifically
And
optimized
then
for our
on
analytics
top of this
workloads.
software suite, we wanted to bring the
So
Epics
much
core,
about
which
data,
understands
AI, ML,
how these products
analytics. I'll go on
are,
to the last thing. Of course, there were many
on
other
how, let's say,
announcements. I
these
just
products
picked a few which
operate,
I
and
thought
then
are
what are
which would
their
resonate more with the auto manufacturing
basically
cohort.
the
Uh,
interaction
the last thing
interacting
I
with
want to
these
talk
particular
about is
software, and then
Catena X, which you know
extracting the
is a
relevant information,
big digital
and then
playground for the
which
automotive
can be
industry. It's a
combined either
collaboration
with
between
custom
major car
AI, or
manufacturers,
with
suppliers, and
the
technology
LLMs, wherein we
companies.
use the Amazon
AWS is
Bedrock,
part of it.
and then
And the
on top
idea
of that
is
we
to
can have
create a
multiple plugins.
standardized way
And
for
what we
all
have
these
now,
players
we're going to
to share
demonstrate
data
in a while
and
from
work
now,
more
is
efficiently
the
with the
voice of the
underlying
chat plugin that
principles
we
of
have on
interoperability
top
and
of
data
this Epic Score.
sovereignty.
So just to give
So,
a kind of a
what we
teaser before we
announced
get
at
into the
reInvent
actual
this
demo.
time was the
So we can
AWS
ask
supply
Epics,
chain
in terms
solution
the
will have
commands like
Catena
what is the
X
line
capability,
voltage at a
which
particular floor,
means
onboard the
you can
device trafo one,
seamlessly,
wherein
manufacturers and
this is what
automotive
I was talking about,
suppliers
the
can
zero touch
seamlessly
onboarding,
connect
and
to the
perform
Catena X
energy audit and
network
generate
via the
reports. So
AWS
with
supply
that,
chain
we
solution.
Epics
It
can
provides standardized
perform
templates
this
and
energy audit.
multi-level
It
consent
can get the
management.
data. It can, it
Um,
doesn't have the
um,
intelligence
in
as to, how
2025,
the
we're
energy audit
also
needs to be
planning
performed,
the
but then
beta
we get it
release for
through
the
the
compliance
large language
certificate.
models
And later in
using
the
Amazon
year, we're
Bedrock,
also
and then we
talking
generate
about
reports, and then we
product
even
carbon footprint and
send these reports to the
traceability use
customer's
cases
inbox
coming in.
with a simple voice command.
So if
So
you, we can go to the last slide,
having
Sonika.
that,
So
all of
if
this
you
now,
see
I would now
if you can
again hand it over
reimagine
to
how the business will
Siva,
be
who would
on the
now
left
be
side, you see how
giving
the
a
process
demo
has
of
multiple steps
our
and how it
solution.
can be frustrating.
Over to you,
And on
Siva.
the right side, what we are basically saying is you upload the data and the system takes care of the rest, giving access to the manufacturing and suppliers as the case might be about the supplier data, and based on completely secure based on the consent which has been given. So now these are
I think
a
both
set
of
of
you are on mute.
innovations which are set to accelerate digital transformation, driving efficiency, sustainability, and data-driven
Yes,
decision
Siva, it
making
is
in
your
our
turn. Mute yourself.
industry.
Yeah, yeah.
Wanted to share all
Am I
this
audible
with you.
now?
And
Now, yes. Yeah.
Yes,
before
you
I
are.
Uh,
sign off, I just wanted to give
okay.
a shout
So
out to
this
some
is
of our
our
customer
monitoring
speakers who are
application,
there today,
wherein we see
which is
herein
what is special
a
about these
kind of our
meetups. We don't
building
want to
getting
talk much.
configured with
We
a lot
want
of
our
flows,
customers to
and then
come and talk
the
about
devices
how they are
across this.
leveraging our
So
solutions. So a big
and
shout
then we
out
have a
to
small
Balmurugan,
plugin in
Shweta,
the
and
right
Jibreel
bottom,
of GEO
which is
Aerospace,
Epix. First, I'll
Shomik
just
from
traverse across
Schneider
the application
Electric,
interface,
Anuj and
and then
Napoleon
whatever
from
use cases we
Continental, and
discussed,
Pritish and
I would show,
Shiva
and then
from
also
Siemens.
the at
Thank
each
you very
step
much.
I'll
We will
also
be more than happy
describe about
to come and
in
deep
the
dive
background what
on
kind of
all these
actions
solutions
happen place
which we
with this
announced in
collated, and when
reInvent.
we go to the
And
architectural solution
over
blueprint, we could
back to you,
correlate how things
Sonika,
work.
and
So let
wishing
me quickly
everyone very
round
happy
this out.
holidays.
So you could see that the building had flows, and the device was tagged over there, and the Epix is kind of a chat interface that we place. Let me get into action. Epix, go to settings.
Navigated to settings.
Epix, jump to home.
Navigated to home.
Hope the background voice is also being heard, right?
Yes, that's heard
Okay.
properly.
So with the small activity, what's happening in the background is in the EC2 instances, we have the API binding services which have the information of pages, and then we have also the native colloquial words for each of these pages. Like, say for example, an overview could be called as dashboard, cockpit, or home page. Settings could be called as configurator, etc., etc. So we have all this bases, and then what happens in the background is the recognition service from AWS recognizes the voice and interprets with the information that we have in the form of a graph DB. The semantics works out, and then the instruction is passed to the application interface, thereby traversing across pages or even change of some system like language, etc., which we would go through. Epics change language to German.
Language changed to German.
So I'm trying it in a text also. Epics get epics get F1 lighting current value.
First floor F1 lighting current value is 3A.
This is one important use case. So, that from a customer point of view, he knows what device he wants to look in for a quick insight, but, it would be in the first floor, but he has to traverse across the hierarchy, which you see in the left-hand side menu, and then go into a particular data point for the information. With Epix, he gets quick insights, just placing the instruction, and he would have the voice coming out. So you can imagine this particular monitoring solution is now empowered with an Alexa-like feature wherein you just key in your command and it gives insights. Epix arrange device by top 10 consumer.
Chart loaded.
Diving to this feature, if you see this particular widget is not supported by the monitoring application. So what we kind of did is created a template engine in the AWS EC2 instance, wherein dynamic templates which are built on small language models on our energy domain. And if the user places instruction, it would simply pick this template, apply it onto the data point information that we have with our monitoring solution underneath, and then depicts as a widget. With this, we can have feature realization straight on the fly. So you could see that there are 7 devices onboarded, as Pritish explained about zero touch onboarding. Let's see how it works out. Epix onboard F1 server to first floor.
Device F1 server on board to first floor.
So you could see that the device F1 server has been onboarded to the first floor and the connectivity has established. If you see in the background, what are the activities generally happening is that there is a scan of the devices with the plant identifier and the location identifier, over the Modbus protocol. And once the scan is finished, the device identification is done, and it understands our monitoring solutions structure and adds it to the typical hierarchy. So how did we achieve this? So we had a set of unified test cases wherein we had the sequence of task activities over each steps, like you place an IP of a device, and then you do a scan, and then you onboard it to a typical floor hierarchy, wherein you have to go to the edit mode and add it. So what happened is we already had these test suits with us. What we did is we stored this into S3, and with our semantic knowledge graph, we frame the sequence into actions, connected with the workflow. And the moment a workflow is placed, you could see the seamless action happening across. So this is, a multiple sequence of actions taking place, but it is powered by, the knowledge graph that we have, with which workflow has become an ease. So at a time, while scrolling across applications, there would be some information which we need a quick info. So in this way, what happens is there is Bedrock services which Anthropic Cloud in the background. If I ask any question like a domain specific, a quick info, a ready reckoner kind of a stuff, it quickly gives me an information. So now I just asked about a low duration curve, and then it gave me a quick detail about what it is. So what I'm currently doing is I'm looking in for an energy audit report for my plant. And first I ask what are the current ISO standards available for the energy audit report. The moment I get this information from the LLMs, I then ask it to generate a report. What it does in the background is it creates a dynamic template, meaning a reporting template. Herein, if we see that ISO 50001 is the standard. So I ask Epics to generate this report. So behind the screen, it creates the value templates, operates on our monitoring solution with respect to API connections, and gets this information and jots down simple HTML, which gives a
Process.
quick overview. You could see the sample template is ready. Okay, maybe now I'll go to the quick architecture overview. So at first we have three different microservices deployed into EC2, which is API mapping, entity mapping, and template engine. So API mapping actually understands the baseline system, like the underlying monitoring solution, and understands the schema. So there is a mapping of each API signatures available. Entity mapping is more about the device or the sensor information that we have, the kind of data points that we have. And templating engine allows us kind of a dynamic reporting, wherein we have a state of art HTML templating engine which runs in the background, which gets information from LLMs and creates that and operates on the API mapping, and presents out the reports that we saw. So mostly, what happens when a user interacts is, first thing is that when a voice is placed out, the recognition service comes into action, and it recognizes this phrase, tries to map it with the entity mapping. Like it would try to get this info, map it with the service. So we would have our knowledge base. You could see that document capture over here in, which is from like the test cases that we talked about. So in our existing system, it also has the software manuals and also the device manuals. The device manuals gives the kind of data points, the informations that we have. All this, we embed this into Neptune Graph DB, wherein this particular semantics is through SHACL and Owlburst semantics that we have. And with this semantics, we try to correlate the instruction and what we wanted to present, and then we pass it on to the Bedrock services, which does the summary, normalization, and rule-based validation. With that, we present the user with the information either as a text or as a voice, and then in case a templating engine is there for a report or a mail which has to be sent over SMTP server. So these are the features that we make use in AWS and present it out to a customer that you see here in us reports, mail, widgets, quick info, or commands. A quick framework insight you would have seen from an NLP query handler. We said when I was demoing, jump to overview or go to settings. It understood that it has to navigate across. So that's the name part of it, wherein we wanted user commands across global, to understand what the intent for. So for that, we trained our model on different kind of languages and also the colloquial words being used. For the knowledge base, we have S3s and our knowledge graph based database, which is based on the semantics as explained. And the LLM is on the Anthropic cloud, which is actually powered by the Amazon Bedrock services we have. And then we have the template engine, which is basically our HTML5 template, which is actually a microservices herein. So rushing through the solution benefits, towards monitor, analyze, and predict, we have a quick project details. You can quickly ask for an info, and it presents you the information. We could show or acknowledge alarms. We can get a quick license status or memory information. From the aspect of commissioning and parameterize, you would have seen zero touch onboarding, easy configuration, wherein we could set a bulk parameterization. And from a planning and engineering, when you draw something over on the SolidWorks or in a designer, there is a description over voice. Say, for example, I draw the diagram of my network topology. At that time, if there are any signal flow glitches, the Epix recommends this. And also, what would also happen is if there is a recommendation to use a Siemens device like a monitoring or protection devices, the recommendations are also placed out. So the discoveries and outcomes, first thing is that improve time to market. You would have seen, when I said that arrange device by top 10 consumer, a widget came in. So it's on a similar lines that when we wanted to realize certain feature, we could realize it through epics, which could be scaled across different application interfaces rather than, giving it to each products for its deployment. And with the ease of EC2 and Lambda, the humongous information that we have, which allows us to scale compute, and then from the storage information, we could decipher knowledge bases into knowledge graphs, etc. We are also trying out voice biometric, wherein with the voice, a supervisor can get certain kind of commands and action, but a naive user could get only read only information or something like that. From a diagnostic and maintenance, Epix understands the underlying system, tries to monitor across. So we use IoT Core and IoT Sitewise for real-time monitoring and analytics. It would also suggest users in case if there is something there. And from the marketing point of view, also we have our product knowledge base also updated into the LLM. And the moment a user is getting into like a design phase or a troubleshooting, he is recommended with the Siemens engine system. So a quick closing summary is that with Epix, we are accelerating innovation with across industrial IoT and AI because it brings that flavor to our existing system. And the concept of bulk parameterization, zero touch onboarding enables customer. So it eases the customer. So now he is just relaxed, places his command, and things happen in the background. And to bring in expertise like energy audit reports or any ISO standard reports, we are also leveraging global services to our products with which we deliver high performance and global reach in the industrial context.